Some Pokemon are naturally better than others, whether this be due to stats a Pokemon has, a particularly strong ability, or support tools it can provide. These Pokemon are going to have higher usage rates in a format, but just because a Pokemon has a lower usage rate does not mean that it is a bad Pokemon. Dom in the Discord understood this perfectly when building this entire team of Pokemon with usage rates under 1% in Regulation F. This is a hard Trick Room team with Dusclops and Bronzong being your bulky Trick Room setters. Tsareena is here because of its nice ability Queenly Majesty that prevents priority attacks from going off, which is super nice under Trick Room. Ceruledge and Empoleon are strong sweepers and finish the team's Fire, Water, Grass core. And Glastrier is your big sweeper because of its low speed, which makes it perfect in Trick Room, but also its Chilly Neigh ability, which boosts your attack by 1 stage every time you KO a Pokemon. Now, Dom built this team for a tournament where all the teams had to be built with Pokemon whose usage rate was under 1%, but today we are taking this team onto the rank ladder to see how this team can fare and if it can get a win against these meta threats in Regulation F. So when I get into team preview, I immediately noticed that this is a very standard rain meta team that is going to focus on setting the rain for our Chaludon and letting that Pokemon try to sweep. And they have access to Tailwind with Prankster Tornadus. So my thought process is immediately we have to Trick Room, which for this team is pretty normal anyways. So I lock in Bronzong initially thinking that this is going to be the answer to this problem because I have Mental Herb and Tornadus could potentially have Taunt. However, later on, I realize this is not the plan that I want to have because we have access to Queenly Majesty that will block Prankster Taunt, which means that I can lead with Dusclops and Tsareena, not only blocking a Fake Out from a potential Incineroar Bring, but also blocking a Taunt from the Prankster Tornadus. And this is going to allow my Dusclops to set Trick Room very early on and allow me to continue sweeping. But then I look at the rest of their team and think about what could potentially be there. Amoonguss is a problem if we set Trick Room because it's so slow, which means that it can put my Pokemon to sleep. So I want to bring the Pokemon that are going to be able to deal with that the most effective. So Tsareena is a really solid option because Grass can't be put to sleep by Spore, but we also have Tera Grass on our Ceruledge, which makes that a solid option as well. And then to round everything out, I bring in the Glastrier because that has access to high horsepower, and that is going to be able to do big damage into both our Chaludon as well as into Incineroar if that is brought. All right. Urshifu, oh, honestly, that's not a bad Urshifu for us. I gotta say, this is honestly not a bad setup here. So, we gotta think about what they want to possibly switch into that slot, because I doubt they want to keep Urshifu in this scenario. They could bring in the Archaludon, which could be a big problem. So I think the best course of action is to do as much damage to Flutter Mane as we can and just go for a Trick Room. I don't think I want to go for the Tera this turn. I think we have to go for Urshifu, because if they decide to stay in, we need to get something out of this turn. Here comes the Tera on their end. They are going to go for it. Urshifu is going to Tera, so they're just going for big damage. But this is going to give us the opportunity to KO Urshifu with the Power Whip. Why do if they swap? Sure, we do damage, a little bit of damage to something. Oh wait, they Calm Minded this time. Oh wait, hold on a second. They Calm Minded. So had they swapped, they would have done, you know, a little chip to whatever brought in. But with the Power Whip into the Urshifu slot, if they did keep it in, that gives us the opportunity, even if they do KO Dusclops this turn, to do big damage in return and probably take a KO on their Pokemon like we just did. Perfect. So this is honestly a really good turn for us. This is a really solid turn for us. So now we get the Trick Room up. And we haven't even used Tera yet, which is really, really nice for this particular setup. Amoonguss. Alright. Well, they can't put me to sleep, and they can't Rage Powder me with this Pokemon. So genuinely, I'm not that concerned. The question becomes, are they Rocky Helmet? We are Tera Grass on Ceruledge, so I think genuinely I'm down to just go for a Power Whip onto the Flutter Mane. And also down to Pain Split the Amogus. Fluttermane's just going to protect this turn. That makes a lot of sense. Little Pain Split there. Amogus is going to take some chip as a result. And they are going to go for the Spore. No shock there. They can't Rage Powder my... Tsareena, which is beautiful. Because we're Grass type, we ignore Spore, we ignore Rage Powder, and Amogus is just kind of in an awkward spot. Now, the question truly becomes here. Do we go for the Power Whip? I think we do go for Power Whip here. And I think I go for just Nightshade on Amogus. Fluttermane's gonna swap into what Pokemon? Probably Incineroar? Or Chaludon, okay. That does make things a touch more difficult. Pollen Puff into my... This kind of sucks. Oh, that's great though, because they didn't get the stamina boost now. So what we could do is triple Axel into that slot. We can triple Axel there. And how do I want to do this? I think I just go for Nightshade onto Amogus as well. They don't have any rain for their Archaludon, which I find very odd. So because we missed, we didn't hit them, which didn't activate their stamina boost, so they have no defensive investment on that Pokemon. So they didn't get the +1 on defense, which is great because all the Pokemon that we have in the back are physical, which is really, really difficult when playing into an Archaludon. So really solid that we missed that attack. Amogus is going to go out. And Fluttermane is going to come back in. I'm very okay with this because this means we get a lot of damage off onto the Fluttermane. A lot of damage off onto the Fluttermane. Triple Axel goes off. Very, very nice. And they are going to charge up an Electro Shot. They are going to charge the Electro Shot up. Okay. We are still asleep. We have one more turn of Trick Room. I mean, I'm pretty comfy just going for a hit there and maybe going for a Will-O-Wisp on our Chaludon to get a little chip damage here and there. The Protect was very obvious. We get a little chip damage if we wake up, which we won't, because we are just having unfortunate luck as far as our... Oh, but we took that like a champ. We took that so well. They did get a +1 special attack off of that, but wow, they took that incredibly well. So here's the issue that we're having now. We just have a lot of inaccurate moves here, so I think the best course of action is going for the knockoff on the Fluttermane. And then from there, I think we do go for the Tera Dark. I think it is time to finally unleash the Tera. And go for a Tera Dark in this battle. Because we need to be able to survive this turn and get our Trick Room back up. That is going to put us in the strongest position to deal with this. There's the Shadow Ball. That is why we want to Tera Dark. We avoid anything like that. There's a very minimal chance that they're going to Moonblast into that because they want to do as much damage as possible to prevent the reset up of their prevent the reset up of Trick Room. They want to do as much as they possibly can to avoid that scenario. Dusclops does wake up. This is like turn 5 of sleep, so no shock there that it wakes up, and we get the Trick Room back up. Puts us in a very commanding position because we did find out that our Dusclops earlier this battle was slower than the Amogus because our Pain Split went before Spore, which means we can Pain Split again and do really big damage, which is very, very solid. So we're going to go for the Pain Split into the Archaludon to get that lower. without actually touching it and raising its defensive stats. And then we're just going to go for triple Axel into Amogus, because why not? Because it's going to do super effective damage into Amogus. They can't spore that slot, they can't rage powder that slot, but Amogus will be a annoying Pokemon to deal with for the remainder of this battle. So we want to make sure that we can do as much damage to it as possible and get it off the field. Little Pain Split. Nice chunk to our Chaludon. There's the spore into the Dusclops. No shock there. Just rinsing and repeating. And now the triple Axel comes off into the Amogus. Ooh, it is a Rocky Helm. That is something we had to consider, but at the same time, we've got to just get some damage off onto that Amogus. There's the Dragon Pulse into Tsareena. So now the unfortunate circumstance is that we don't have Tera Grass anymore to avoid Spore on our Ceruledge. I don't think that we have enough damage yet to deal with a Shadow Sneak play into the Amogus to get rid of the Amogus, so that's kind of the tricky scenario we find ourselves in here. We're not quite in Shadow Sneak range. How many more turns of Trick Room are we working with? A couple. Alright. Well, I think this turn what we can do is just go for a Protect, try and wake up with a Nightshade. It's the first turn of our sleep, so we're not going to wake up, but the ability to wake up would be super, super nice. So, we're going to waste a turn and kind of put ourselves in a different scenario, different position to handle the rest of this battle. We're asleep still. Like I said, first turn of sleep, you're not going to wake up. It's not going to happen. Amogus is going to go for that Spore. It is going to try and just mitigate the threat of my Ceruledge. And they are going to go for the Dragon Pulse into my Dusclops. Makes sense. So what we do this turn, we Shadow Sneak and we go for Nightshade. If we wake up on turn 2, then we probably KO Amogus with this double up, putting us in a really commanding position to finish up this game. Shadow Sneak goes off. Let's see the damage. Very close. Very close. Let's see. We woke up! We woke up! Nightshade, KO Amogus. KO Amogus. Let's go! That is such a big turn. That is such a big turn. A little bit of a gamble there. A little bit of a gamble there. We are going to proc Citrus Berry with that damage. Woohoo! Alright, that was kind of crazy. How many more turns of Trick Room are we working with here? One more turn of Trick Room. What we do here, we go for the Protect, and we're going to go for the Pain Split. We need to get this Chaludon as weak as possible before we start hitting it. Otherwise, we're just going to have issues doing any sort of damage to it at all. They are going to go for the Body Press. We're going to tank that so well. Crystal Dimensions return to normal. I'm going to take this turn to bulk up. I think that's going to be our best course of action, and we're going to go for the Trick Room once more. Because they are going to be so concerned about going for... Ooh! They're not so concerned. I'm okay with this, actually. I'm okay with that, because now we just Trick Room. I'm very, very okay with that. Because I assumed that they would be so concerned with Trick Room going back up and them not being the fastest Pokemon on the field that they would target down the Dusclops. But being able to just ignore that completely and go for the Trick Room for free puts the Glastrier, or Glastrier, excuse me, into a very, very powerful position. So let's go for the high horsepower. 95% accurate is a skosh scary, considering they are at a +1 special attack, because they can hit us with a Flash Cannon to do very big damage. So this turn, we just go for the Nightshade and the high horsepower. Nightshade. Oh, I should not have done that, because now they get the stamina boost. I didn't think about the fact that I was just going to be slower, but they are low enough that we do win the game. Woo, that got a little scary. I got a little scared there. But what a well-played, well-positioned game. That was crazy. GG's, Dustclops could not get off the field.